Jean-Pierre Jacques Arié is a French, retired, Grand Prix racing driver. He was born at Carentan-le-Pont, near Paris. Following impressive results in Formula France, Arié moved up to French Formula 3, finishing third overall in 1970, before moving on to the Charles Arnold European Formula 2 team in 1971. He peaked with 2 third places, and also made his Grand Prix debut at Monza when the team rented a March Engineering 701. However, the team dropped him midway through 1972 for financial reasons. For 1973 he signed to the March Engineering Formula 2 team, and was also given a Formula 1 seat by the outfit. Formula 1 was difficult in the uncompetitive 721G, but Arié stormed to the Formula 2 title with 8 wins. In 1974 Arié concentrated on Formula 1, signing with the Shadow Racing Cars team. He became team leader following the death of Peter Revson, finishing third at the Monaco Grand Prix on his way to 14th overall. 1975 began with a bang, as he put his Shadow DN5 on pole position for the Argentine Grand Prix, only for a component to break in the warm-up, preventing Arié from taking the start. He repeated the feat at the Brazilian Grand Prix, and then dominated the race until a fuel metering unit failed, ending his race. Bad luck and poor reliability would curse his season, though the Shadow team fell from the pace as well. His only point-scoring finish was for 4th place in the shortened Spanish Grand Prix. Arié spent 1976 with Shadow Racing Cars, qualifying third in an updated version of the previous year's car, the DN5B, and setting fastest lap at the opening Brazilian Grand Prix, before spinning off on James Hunt's oil. However, this was a false dawn, as the car became uncompetitive, and Arié failed to score any points. Following this impressive start, his career slowed. He switched to the ATS team in 1977, driving a Penske. He scored a point in his first race for the team, and then had one-off drives for Shadow and Equipe Ligier when the German team elected to miss the final races of the year. He also dabbled in sports cars, winning 2 races in an Alfa Romeo T33 with Arturo Mazzario, and coming second at the Le Mans 24 Hours with Vern Schuppan in a Mirage. His second year at ATS in the in-house HS1, was less successful, and he was fired after an argument with team principal Hans-Günther Schmidt after failing to qualify the car for the Monaco Grand Prix. He was briefly rehired for the German Grand Prix, only to miss the grid again, and again argued with Schmidt, leaving once more. However, at the end of the year he was signed by Team Lotus to take the seat left by Ronnie Peterson's death. He set fastest lap at the United States East Grand Prix, running third before he ran out of fuel, and then took pole and dominated at the Canadian Grand Prix before an oil leak ended his race. These showings saw him signed by Tyrrell Racing. He was a regular point scorer over 2 seasons with the team, with his best results being 2 third places, achieved at the 1979 South African Grand Prix and the 1979 British Grand Prix. He began 1981 with a temporary assignment for Ligier, standing in while Jean-Pierre Jabouille returned to fitness, for 2 races. He then drove with Osella beginning midway through the season, giving some respectable performances for the small, underfunded team. 1982 saw a full season with Osella, with Arié securing the team's best ever finish with 4th at the San Marino Grand Prix. While the rest of the year would be difficult, Arié was instrumental in keeping the team's morale up following the death of Riccardo Paletti at the Canadian Grand Prix. The following year saw a full season with Equipe Ligier, but after a good run at Long Beach ended with a collision with Keck Rosberg, he seemed to lose hope, and finished the season without points. At the 1983 Austrian Grand Prix he made many drivers angry because of his blocking tactics as a backmarker. On lap 22, Ferrari driver Patrick Tambay, who had led the race from the start, was held up by Arié for 2 corners. As he was being held up, Tambay's teammate René Arnoux was able to pass Tambay on the approach to the Texaco chicane by boxing Tambay in behind Arié. This also allowed Brabham driver Nelson Piquet to come from 3rd to 2nd by nipping past Tambay into the second of the 2 left-handers, which dropped Tambay to 3rd and denied him the lead he had been preparing to retake from Arnoux. A furious Tambay waved his fist at Area when he finally did pass him. BBC commentators Murray Walker and James Hunt were appalled at Aria's driving, with Hunt saying, "Aria really is completely out of order, he really shouldn't be allowed to drive in Grand Prix racing. He's got a mental age of 10 in the first place, and that was an absolutely disgraceful bit of driving for a driver of his experience. The authorities have to crack down on driving like that. He should certainly receive a short suspension, and for being himself, he should receive a permanent suspension." Even the gentlemanly Walker also made rare scathing comments on Aria's driving. He said, "In all my years as a commentator, but certainly no driver, I have to admit, that was an awful and crass piece of driving by Aria." At this point in the season, in terms of his Formula One status, Aria was at the point of no return. Following this, Aria retired from motorsport, but was tempted back to drive in the Porsche Super Cup in 1994. This led to several sports car drives, winning the 1998 and 1999 French GT championships. Aria introduced himself to a new generation by contributing major stunt work to the film Ronin, directed by John Frankenheimer, who also directed the 1966 classic, Grand Prix. Complete Formula One World Championship results, key. A section STP withdrew their support following the 1973 French Grand Prix. Euro for the 1976 German and Austrian Grands Prix. Shadow was sponsored by the Villager Tsar. Paragraph HNE to Batipsicar brand. A Euro Candy sponsored Tyrrell from the 1979 Belgian Grand Prix onward. Complete Formula One non-championship results, key. References